Hi, it's Chris Titley here as part of the Sub 11 Uncovered series. I'm joined by Pascale Helyar-Moray OAM, the founder of Grow My Money. Pascale, always a pleasure to have a chat and great for you to come on, and thank you for the support for Sub 11.
Oh, my pleasure, Chris.
Now, the last time I introduced you, you didn't have three letters at the end of your name, and now
right.
you have an OAM. Before we go on to anything in the business, I'd love to the listeners out there to understand what that is and how it happened and how you're feeling about it all.
Yeah, well, thank you. So the OAM stands for the Medal of the Order of Australia. And this was published in the Australia Day Honours List this year, 2024. And what it is a recognition for services to the community above and beyond, right? So my recognition is for services to business and to women's affairs. And I had no idea I was being nominated. And so you can imagine when I received an email in, I think it was October last year,
Yep.
in my inbox, I thought, oh my God, this is spam.
It's a fraud.
It's pretty good looking spam.
Yeah.
And so then you have to go through this process. Do you wish to accept this nomination? Well, gosh, don't mind if I do,
Yes.
all right.
Yep.
And that was very interesting because I could see that whoever had submitted me had done a shed load of DD on me. Of course, there was the more visible stuff, right?
Yep.
Grow My Money, Super Awards, the Gender Equality Council. But there was a lot of content in there where somebody had really been trawling through, I don't know, the bowels of Google to produce this very fully formed submission. So I accepted that. And then, nothing for 3 months. And then in early January this year, I received another email, which by this time I knew it wasn't spam, saying, we're delighted to advise you've been awarded. And so then became the most difficult thing of just not telling anyone for 3 weeks until
sworn to secrecy. Hey?
Yes. It's highly embargoed. And so as a result, I didn't even tell my children until that night that the list came out, so the night before Australia Day, because I was just so worried they were going to snap something to one of their friends, and then all of a sudden there'd be a PR disaster for me.
Of course, you wanted to make sure you're just very calm and take some deep breaths and just bite your tongue.
Yeah, exactly. And I just have to tell you, because I know you have kids, and this is just a really gorgeous reaction. So I have three kids, boy-girl twins who are about to turn 14, and the little princess/CEO who has just turned 9. And anyway, so we told the children, we told them what it means, and we told them the proportion of, this is this is an incredible honor. Very few people in the country get this, et cetera, and my son, who's, normally a little bit, quiet and reticent and so on, he gave me the biggest bear hug. And he said, and then he looked at my husband, he said, wow, Dada, you better step up your game. To which point I said, listen, darling, Daddy gets the dollars and Mummy gets the medals.
I wouldn't say that, but yeah, I know what you're saying. But yeah, no, it's funny how kids react, because I asked them what do I do for a living, and my middle one goes, oh, you're a podcaster. I'm like, yeah, sort of. It's like, and then my oldest, who's nearly 12, goes, how do you make money from that? I'm like, that's a really good question, George. You're ahead of your time, but anyway. So congratulations. That is an enormous honour, and now you have to have the three letters at the end of your name. And what about sort of a ceremony or anything along those lines? Is something happening on that front?
Indeed. The investiture is next Tuesday here in Sydney at the Governor-General's residence, at Government House at the top of Macquarie Street. And that's, it's a meet and greet. My medal is pinned. There are some, drinks and, canapes, that sort of thing.
Sandwiches, yep.
Yeah, and then I'm taking the rest of the day off because I've damn well earned it.
Absolutely, so you should. I'd put that one in the calendar as annual leave, and deserved annual leave that particular day. Well, that's brilliant, Pascale, and rightly and justly deserved. So congratulations.
Thank you very much,
let's go back to Grow My Money, previously known as Super Awards. The listeners out there that may not know the backstory on why you started the business and how you started the business and the problem, if you want to take us back a little bit.
Sure. So we started off as Super Awards, designed to be cashback into superannuation. So I found this because I could see that, 1 in 6 women in Australia retiring into poverty is a terrible state of affairs. Moreover, the government, or various governments, hadn't done anything about this for 2 decades. So I was working with the Australian Gender Equality at the Council at the time in my capacity as Director of Communications. And that was just really quite shocking to me that because we worked with government and corporates and, the everyday user, that, there was this, it seemed to me that Rome was burning. You have all these women retiring into homelessness. So the fastest growing demographic of homeless people in Australia is the older woman.
Right. Okay.
Which,
Yeah.
and
That's a bit shocking.
God help you
Yeah.
if you're single, because that number becomes 1 in 3, right? So this is a system design deficit. Put very simply, people, the boffins who decided the superannuation system didn't conceive that there could be work-life patterns outside of their own, right? So men, work full time throughout their careers. Women don't. You've got more women working part-time than full-time. So you're contributing fractionally to your super. But we also have a really large problem in Australia in that we have just relied on unpaid work, unpaid carers in this country just since the year dot. So what that means is 40% of women in Australia who are that retirement accumulation stage, 40% of them are not in the workforce. So how do you build up your super if you're not in paid work? So I thought there has to be a better way. Rome's burning, government's fiddling away, not doing anything, and we have this real crisis on our hands. So I brought together my financial services, my e-commerce, my gender equality, and my startup skills to create super awards. So cashback from your everyday spend into your superannuation. Then, so whilst we were super awards, we did a number of partnerships with super funds and other corporates. And that was, of course, during the time of COVID, which was fantastic for online shopping and
the bump.
The bump. But moreover, it was incredible because guess what? It achieved a small miracle. People were talking about superannuation. Now, never in all my days did I think this would happen, but it was because of the early super access measures.
That's right. It was $10,000 per financial year, wasn't it? I think something along those lines.
Two tranches.
Yep.
So, and then COVID rolled off, and then interest rates started creeping up. And as time of speaking, we've had 13 interest rate rises over the last 2 years. So
to this month, I remember it clearly. It's when I left my full-time job as a stockbroker in May of 2022, and I've had 13 interest rate rises since then. So there you go, Mr. Variable over here.
Entering startup world. Yes. So for anyone with the average mortgage is, let's say, $500,000. That's an extra $1,210 per month that someone needs to find. So we realize that women face a gender mortgage gap for the same reasons as the gender super gap. So not only are women impacted by the interest rate rises and cost of living, et cetera, but also, the wider population at large are also impacted by the cost of living and so on. And there are 1.5 million Aussies at risk of mortgage stress currently, which is a huge number. So we pivoted and we introduced the cashback into mortgage component in November just last year. So this is Australia's first mortgage cashback. And so Grow My Money is, put very simply, a platform where you can contribute cashback from your everyday spend into either your superannuation or your mortgage. So it's a form of, future sustainable wealth creation.
That is fantastic. And obviously you've identified 2 major problems, and you mentioned that 1.5 million figure.
Yes.
I mean, I wonder, and I'm not here to speculate, I wonder what would happen if there's another, 2 or 3 rate rises, how that would play out. And certainly, from, contributing to your mortgage, people want reduction in rates. But also, if you're spending every day, then that adds up. Can you give the listeners an example of how it works, just fundamentally?
Yes, absolutely. So let's say that you're spending $1,000 at Big W. Now, you might be buying things, something new for the house. You might be doing a renovation, or you could just be buying Christmas presents for the kids, or everyday essentials, right? So you spend, you shop online at Big W through Grow My Money. Grow My Money is free to join. And in your spending, you will receive $20 back from Big W. Now, this seems kind of miraculous. I know. It's like, oh, this is amazing. I spend
Yes.
money and then the retailer gives it back to me. What?
Yep.
So the $20 comes into your Grow My Money account, and then Grow My Money pays that $20 into your nominated superannuation or mortgage account.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so you can shop at any of our 500 online retailers this way. And we've got some amazing retailers, and that I think that's really part of our secret sauce. We have, as I mentioned, Big W, Pet Barn, Apple, Nespresso, Myer, Priceline, Flight Centre. We've just had Everyday Market from Woolworths join the platform, so that's amazing. And it really is, we've really tried to build every category by breadth and depth, so that no matter what you're doing online, whether it's booking a holiday or sorting, travel insurance, whatever it may be, you're being rewarded as you do so. But we also have over 1,000 stores nationally who are ready to pay cash back into your super or mortgage. So it's a no-brainer.
And the sort of, you mentioned the e-commerce side of things. Is there an in-store presence as well? If you pop into Priceline or whatever it might be and you tap your card, or does that work as well?
So the in-store component is achieved through card linking. So you come to Grow My Money, you link 5 credit or debit cards. They can be personal or business, #just saying. And when you go in store, so Chris, let's say next time I'm up in Brisbane, we go to a restaurant which is on the Grow My Money panel. We have a nice pasta and bottle of red wine. I go to pay with my linked card at checkout, and then the money appears in my Grow My Money account.
Okay.
So let's say we spend $100 on dinner.
Yep.
I would receive probably $11 or $12 into my Grow My Money account, and I don't have to do anything extra. I don't have to.
That's the point I was going to get to. Is like it's the alteration
it's
of behaviour. Like normally, when you see some promotions, you're like, oh, I might go to that store because they're 20% off today or something like that.
Exactly.
Which is obviously a marketing exercise for them. But then obviously, if you're not altering your behaviour too much and you're sticky to the brand as well. Like I suppose from the vendor's point of view, there's an ulterior motive to give you cash back, and that's probably to keep you coming back. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
How have you gone about sort of the chicken and the egg, the vendors and the retailers versus signing people up as customers?
We have done really well with our retailers, and I think that's because we have such a clear-cut proposition. So when we started Life, we had 100 online retailers, and we now have 500. And that's partly because we were the first group doing super cashback, and now we're the first group doing mortgage cashback, but also because those retailers understand that it's women who make 80% of household spending decisions. So, it's a natural fit for them. In terms of users, whilst we were Super Awards, we just did the B2B partnerships. And so we secured 30,000 users that way. We are now applying that strategy with the mortgage product, and we've got a mortgage client about to go live with that partnership, and that will deliver us another 30,000 users. So the aim is just to keep finding more of those partnerships. So anybody listening, I'm happy to have a chat.
Excellent. No, for sure. And that's the whole part of sort of creating the Sub 11 is sort of connecting people and customers and all sorts of different things. Pascale, I'm interested to know, like, on average, what people can save or contribute to their super, and how that, obviously super's a very long-term vehicle. So the more you contribute now, you can use sort of compounding effect. Have you done any sort of calculations on what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually happen to have my account in front of me as we speak, and I know your listeners can't see it, but I'm directing all my cash back into my super. So I have, and these are actual figures, I've earned $1,771 of present day value of cash back, and that's for doing what I was going to do anyway. So
that's a lot of money for not altering your behavior. I think that's
not altering my behavior. And looking at my transaction list just over the last week, I've shopped at Milk Run, Frank Green, that was my daughter's birthday present, Clark's,
$69.99, I think it was.
Yeah, exactly. So all those, the the $2.16 here from the retailer, the $6.25 there,
Mm.
that all
Oh, all adds up.
makes
That's
up the
right. Yep, yep.
1,771. Now, however, this is where the numbers get really sexy for me, because we assume we do future value of what that 1,771 becomes. So we use some assumptions around, 25 years, the average balance return being about 7.4% net of fees,
Yep.
et cetera, et cetera. Assuming $30 per month being added.
Yep, and that makes sense on $1,000. You've done it over 30 months, so that's probably about right. 2.5 years.
So exactly. So that's roughly what it, and of course that does fluctuate. So around Cyber Weekend, Christmas, I earn a lot more because I'm the one doing all the shopping.
Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Yep.
Exactly. So my $1,771 is, could become $55,000.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
In 25 years.
And that in its own right can pay for lots of different things in that.
Well,
that
that's 2 years of retirement.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
On a modest retirement.
Yep. Wow. Okay. And then putting the hat on for the next little period of growth for you, awareness of firstly retailers and awareness of people joining the platform. What's the immediate plan, I suppose, in the next little while?
We're just going to keep getting the word out. We've done really well. We've been fortunate enough to be featured on Channel 9 News. We've started doing more podcasts, such as this one, and we're just about trying to build the brand as much as we can, and really try and build it in a direct-to-user fashion, which we never used to do with Super Awards because people generally don't want to hear about super, but also doing more partnerships with corporates, because that way we get access to lots of people who are interested in repaying their mortgage faster.
Yep, no, absolutely, and particularly with the crisis that is going on, and there's obviously different avenues and plays. Pascale, thank you so much for taking your time out and having a chat about Grow My Money. It's been a fantastic story to follow for many years, from the Super Awards to where you are now, and also solving superannuation, and also helping people pay off their mortgage faster, which there's huge amounts of tangible mental health benefits and lots of different financial benefits, etc. On that. But I wish you well in gaining more retailers and obviously more customers, and looking forward to catching up soon.
Thanks for having me, Chris.